So yeah, in that chapter though, Napoleon Hill talked about, he gave 4 steps to help you to cultivate the habits of persistence. Now I'm not going to go over his 4 steps. We're going to give you our 4 steps uh, as it pertains to real estate investing. And the reason why is because as a real estate investor, being persistent is one of the key factors that you're going to have to learn in order to really master this arena, right? So I want to dig into a few things as soon as we get started. So two verses that popped out to me in preparing for this was Proverbs 24 verse 3 and 4 says, by wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established, though through knowledge his rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasures. Now, by wisdom a house is built. You can't get wisdom until you start to do an action, right? We can get knowledge on something, but the wisdom is the use of that knowledge. So you can't build a house. You can get the supplies to build a house, but until you start to build a house, you don't have any wisdom on how to build a house. Through understanding it is established. The understanding is when you're starting your endeavor, understanding what the goal is of your business. What is your why? We talked about that back in the first week of January. What is your why? Why are you doing the things that you do in your business? So once you start to understand your why, that is the understanding. And from that, you have a firm foundation that you can start to build your house on, or you can start to build your business on. You can start to gather some knowledge that can turn into wisdom. And then through knowledge, the rooms are filled. Knowledge is that continuing education that we talked about last week, making sure that you're continuing to build yourself, continuing to learn new things that you can start to implement in your business. So that's Proverbs 24. And then Proverbs 19, verse 21 says, many are the plans of a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose to prevail. Now, I was thinking about this saying, and the word prevail just really stuck out to me, because as we're talking about perseverance, prevailing is you can't prevail something if you don't go through something, right? So the word prevails is the actual action of, or the product of persistence. It's the product of endurance. It's the product of going through something until you get to the point where you have successfully turned the knowledge into wisdom. And that is what we all have to strive for in our real estate investing career, right? So what does this have to do with Myron Golden? I brought up Myron Golden's talk. So last week he did, or this week he did a video where he talked about he talks about becoming. So he has a from Genesis chapter 1, is the be do have. You have to constantly become the person that can do the thing that needs to be done so you can have the things that you want, right? Having is the answer to the why. You doing this because you want this. So you have to become the person who can do the things that will then give you the ability to have whatever the outcome is. So in our real estate investing career, we have to become the investors that can do the task that needs to be done as an investor to have the outcome that we want. Whether that be you want to have rental properties or you want to wholesale properties, you have to become the investor that can make phone calls so that you can have contracts that can turn into profit in your bank account. You have to become the type of investor that can make offers on properties and align the various tasks that have to be done on the property, the contractors, the planning, so that you can become the flipper that is successful at flipping properties. You have to become the private money investor that can analyze a property, that's the doing, that will then turn into the income that you want to become a better investor, to become a better hard money lender or private money lender. So Myron Golden, he emphasized, the transformation of the power of work. He suggests, he has this saying, he says, all work works. And we love that saying because we really do believe that all work works. He says that Myron Golden says, all work is either working on you or is it either working on you or is working for you. So we say that it is either working on you, it is working for you, or you have to continue to work until it becomes the thing that can work for you, right? Persistence is continuing to work until you get the action that you want, until you get the outcome that you want. Continue to work the problem until you figure out the problem, but don't be afraid to go and find outside sources to help you to figure out the problem. If you're having an issue with something, don't be afraid to go out and find more information. Don't be afraid to call up the city council. Don't be afraid to call up city zoning. Don't be afraid to call up the electric company. Don't be afraid to make phone calls to whoever you need to make a phone call to, or to send emails to whoever you need to send emails to get the work done. Don't be afraid to continuously reach out to a seller or a homeowner about a property, especially if they haven't told you not to. If they haven't told you not to, continue to reach out to them. You know, when Vonnie and I first started, we went through so many deals that ended up not being deals for us. We had properties on a contract that fell out of contract, and we got to a point after about 8 months of this that we really were starting to question whether or not real estate wholesaling or real estate investing. We were wholesaling at the time, and we used to always say, we're trying to wholesale. We're trying to become wholesalers. We're trying to become wholesalers. And it is a very ironic thing because it wasn't until we started to see ourselves as wholesalers, as investors, that we started to actually do the actions that were required for us to do as investors. But for such a long time, we were just trying. We were trying to do this and we were trying to do that. And here's the thing, right? Sometimes we say we're trying and we're not really trying. It's just something that it makes us feel good, right? So, you know, what does that mean for you? That means that don't be afraid to get a property on a contract and have that property fall out. Don't be if the contract fails, guess what? You get another property on the contract. You come back to that property and figure out a way to get that property to close in a different way. There may be a point where you have to go back and renegotiate a deal. There may be a point where you have to go back and ask for a lower price. There may be a point where you have to go and find a new buyer because the buyer that you had fell out of contract. But that persistence, can you turn your volume down? That persistence is going to be the key to your success, all right? That the persistence and the ability to continue doing actions that in the moment you feel aren't working for you is going to be the thing that's going to get you to the point where everything that you do works for you, right? We had this property, we did a probate property, and I mean, we worked on this property for every bit of 6 months, I think, maybe a little bit longer. We had 5 different sets of people that we had to get signatures from. We did so much work on this property and then turned around and we didn't even get the property closed. We ended up having to cancel the contract. And there were so many different reasons why, it was overpriced. It was in a small town. And crazy thing is, in the moment, that property felt like it was a failure. It felt like, oh man, we wasted all this time on this property. It didn't even pan out. And now what do we do? But looking back on it now and understanding the idea that all work works, we can understand that that property didn't fail us. That property was our first probate property. It taught us so much about probate properties. It taught us so much about the probate process that we are now very, very understanding, and we have a good knowledge of how to operate probate property. So the next time that we did a probate property, we knew all the things that we need, or not all the things, but we knew a lot of the steps that we had to take to get a probate property closed because we had gone through this process, right? We knew that we had to get the signatures. We knew from Jump Street, we got to talk to the brother and the sister. We got to make sure they're both on board because the last thing we want to do is to spend all this time talking to the brother to have the sister come and say that she didn't want the deal to go through. We knew that we needed to get signatures from both. We knew that we needed to get have the title company to understand 100% that this is a probate property, right? And if for those of you who don't know what a probate property is, it's a property where someone passed away and someone inherits the property. And what happens is normally you'll have one person who's in charge, but the rest of the siblings or whoever the property was left to, they could be any family members. They have a say in what happens to the property, and you have to go to court for it. And the court can order that there be an equal share amongst everybody, which means that if everybody doesn't agree, nobody gets to close on the deal until everybody agrees. But this property was such a headache. This is only one headache, y'all. I mean, when I'm telling you this, I don't want you to think that this is the only property that we had a headache with. We had another one that it took a member of the real estate investing group here in Nashville. We were actually at the Ohio OREA, the national convention, and we talked to them about this property. We had been trying to get this property closed. There was two people living in an abandoned house. They had no electricity, no running water. They had a hole in the roof. They had a hole in the roof that made a hole into the kitchen, and then the whole kitchen was falling into the basement. This is how bad this house was. They were burning furniture to stay warm. And when I say furniture, they were burning like the dressers and the couches and any wood items that they can get, treated wood that was letting off toxic fumes into the house. They were burning it to keep themselves warm. But this property was just such a headache. It was such a headache. We couldn't get the right price because they needed money to move. We wanted to help them, but it was just becoming such a problem, and we were spinning our wheels on this property. They were having so many other issues. I mean, we had to go and fight the pound to keep their dogs because the pound was coming to take their dogs. It was all kinds of stuff, right? And it took us going to the National OREA conference to have one of the president, well, actually the president at the time, tell us that we needed to walk away from it. And even after he told us that, yeah, we were just like, oh, but it's a good deal. It's a good deal. It's right by the college. It can turn into student housing.
We had all sorts of plans for the property, and they all made really good sense. We really did learn a lot. We went with lack of understanding, but we were able to learn so much in the process. We learned about student housing. We learned how do you make the most out of student housing. We had all these different things. I mean, amongst the fact that it had a water feature is what I used to call it.
Y'all, this house was so cold that it was warmer outside. When we would go visit, Bunny would sit outside actually because it was warmer to sit outside of the house than it was to go inside the house.
This is what, November?
Yeah, it wasn't even winter, y'all.
And so, and that's like November for Tennessee is still not too cold. Okay, so I'm standing outside. We had people, we had buyers to come by. The price was so expensive. The roof was leaking. The basement, they didn't have any running water because they had a hole in the main pipe. It was so many different problems outside of just the realtor. We would talk to the realtor that was on it. And we never met the realtor one. Okay, let me just put that out.
She was always a little tipsy when we talked to her.
Always drunk.
I won't call her drunk, but she was definitely tipsy. She
told us that before we ever even seen the house, she had trashed the house so bad. Like she had talked so bad about the house, you would have never thought she was actually trying to sell it.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was a lot of different things, and it did take us going to OREA, and it wasn't just. It was more than one person who told us to walk away. Like, one, we didn't have the resources that we needed to start with. Let me just point that out. We didn't have the right resources and the right knowledge. We didn't have the tools that we needed to take on a project like this. We didn't know what we didn't know, So, so we literally was sitting there really feeling defeated. Feeling like, no, we didn't put all this time in. And then I'm going to give you the biggest problem that we were actually having. You know what that was? We stopped doing everything else.
Yes.
We stopped putting in effort to find other properties.
And that's one of the biggest problems.
That was one of the biggest problems.
But, we also had the problem that we felt like we needed that property.
Yeah.
Like, here's a big caveat to you guys out there. Like, when you get to that point of desperation where you feel like this has to be the one, because if this one doesn't work, then that means that I have to go back to working at the factory. You know, like that was that feeling that we had. It was like, and actually, that's kind of what happened for a moment there.
That is what happened.
Went back to work.
I went back to working.
Yeah. But we learned so much from that, right?
We did. We did.
So to go back to what Myron Golden was saying in his video this week, you know, one of the highlights of the video was the importance of being able to view challenges and failures as opportunities for learning, right? And we talked about that last week, right? Persistence is being able to go past what you see as a failure and turn that into a learning opportunity. And that's one of the things that Myron really hit on in this video, was turning your failures, and again, like we talked about last week, let's not even call them failures. They're opportunities to learn, right? Turning your challenges into an opportunity to get stronger. You know, I like to go back to talking about athletes in these scenarios, because they're such good examples of persistence, right? The track runner that goes out and doesn't do well in this one track meet, oftentimes they come back ready to prove themselves in the next one.
Or the right event. Sometimes you aren't built like, so for instance, our son, we did a lot of track. He did a lot of track. And we've been to
a lot of junior Olympian.
Yes, he's a junior Olympian. And what we had to find out is he really wanted to be a sprinter. Like, he wanted to run the 100 with all his heart. Okay. He wanted to be that sprinter, that Sha'Carri. You know, he wanted to be running like that. Okay. Yeah, he was like, no, I'm that 100. Okay, but I'm gonna be real. His best events he's a mid runner. Yep. Okay, he don't like running
400, 800.
Yep, 400, 800. He's chef's kiss. Okay, you put him on that 100 or that 200, and it's a different run. It's a different strategy. He didn't have the
breakout speed.
Yep.
He didn't have the breakout speed. And, you know, and here's the thing, right? That's the same with your real estate investing, right? We'll look at somebody else and we'll say, oh, I want to have that breakout speed they had. They got their first deal in 2 weeks. They got their first deal in a month. Some of us don't have that breakout speed. No. Some of us are mid runners. Some of us are distance runners. Yeah. Some of us have the ability to and the persistence to go farther to get that big win. And sometimes that win is bigger than the short-term sprint win.
Yeah, it is. So you have to keep that in mind. Like, we're all running our own race. Okay. And so with that being said, is no matter how much we look in at wanting to be the sprinter, we have to accept the fact that we might be the mid runner, and we might have to run. So the thing that he didn't, let me put this out. The reason why he really wanted to be a sprinter is he preferred the sprinters workouts as well. Outside of the fact that everybody wants to see the 100s, everybody, that's the star. That's everybody sees is the 100s. No, tell me one person who's a mid runner that everybody knows. Everybody knows Usain Bolt because he's running the 100s. Everybody knows the Sha'Carri Richardsons because she's the 100s, right? But don't nobody really know who's running, who made gold in the 400s, the 200, the 800. Yeah. Like who you know, you don't know. You might even know the 4x4s, but you really know. Okay, so now we're getting into it. But here's the thing, is that you have to know what race you are good at running, and then run that race.
Run your race.
And don't look back. Don't look to the left. Don't look to the side. Put your blinders on and run your best race.
Yes.
Okay, I had to say that with a lot of info.
Well said. Look, because, you know, chapter 10 of our book, you know, we really focus on the importance of maintaining motivation and momentum, right, in real estate investing, even during the tough times. So even when you feel like everything that you're doing is failing, even when you feel like every deal that I get on a contract is not going where I want it to go, even when you start to feel like every property that I look at is just not a deal, they're not panning out, I can't find buyers, I can't find this, I can't find that. No matter what the problem is that you feel like you're having in your real estate endeavor, you know, you got to learn how to find motivation and momentum to keep you going. And again, let's get into some scripture real quick. I'm gonna give you 2 more verses before we move on to the next part of this talk, right? Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. And I want you guys to make sure that you go back and look these up, okay? When we get off of this, when you get off this video, I want you to go watch Myron Golden's video because it's a really good video. I can put the title in the description and a link to it. But I want you to go back and look at these scriptures because this is the momentum and the motivation that you need to have in your pocket that you can pull out when you start to hit those tough times, right? Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. It says, and let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not give up. Right? This aligns so well with what Myron said in his video because this is the epitome of persistence. And it's important. It talks about the importance of continuing your efforts despite challenges, right? He used this saying about the farmer. He told a story about a farmer who sold the farm because he wanted to be a miner, and he sells the farm to somebody, and then the person who buys the farm finds the biggest diamond cache in the area, right? The farmer wanted to be a miner, but he was sitting on a mine. He was sitting on the gold mine, on the diamond mine, wanting something that he already had. Sometimes we're just one stroke away from our breakthrough. We're just one swing of the axe away from breaking through the wall and finding the riches that are on the other side. But if we don't learn how to master the game of persistence, we stop before we get to that point.
Yeah.
And that's not what you want to do. Again, like we talked about our son in his track event, he was one event away from Junior Olympics every time that he went out and got on that track, on that tarmac. And that's what we had to teach him, was like, hey, you're one away from being a junior Olympian. Yeah, you're not going to be the junior Olympian in the 100. You're not going to be on a 4x1, but you're one track meet away from being a junior Olympian. How many people get to say that? Now he gets to say that he's in the top 25 in the nation on the 800. That's a claim to fame that he wouldn't have had if he had quit because he didn't make the event that he wanted to make, right? And then we have James chapter 1, verse 12 says, blessed is the one who perseveres under trials because he stood the test. That person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him, right? If God has put something on your heart that you're being called to do, and now we're going to we're going to widen our horizon here. We're not just talking about real estate investing on this one particular thing, right? Whatever it is that God has put on your heart and on your mind for you to do, you have to continue to persevere through it, right? The enemy wants nothing more than for you to stop doing whatever it is that God has already ordained you to do. Whatever it is that he's already given to you as your assignment. If I don't have to make you feel it, I just have to make you stop. I have to make you not want it as much as you should want it, right? This is talking about spiritual rewards, but this is also your earthly reward too, right? Because the farmer that plants the seed knows that there's a harvest that's going to come. But if he stopped in the middle of spring and he said, oh, well, this isn't looking good, so I'm just going to stop watering it. Well, you'll never get to the harvest. When you do get to the harvest, of course it's going to be a failure because you didn't do the actions. You didn't become the person who did the actions to get you to have what you wanted as an outcome. We have to be, do, have. Become the people, become the investors, become the entrepreneur that does the thing that gets us what we want to have, or what we deserve to have, or what we're meant to have, or what we're ordained to have.
Yeah. And I have a scripture also. I was reading in Isaiah, and Isaiah chapter 1, verse 31, it says, the strong shall be as tinder, and the work as it, let me start over. The strong shall be a tinder, and the work of it as a spark. Both will burn together, and no one shall quench them. So when I read that, it was just like, when I say an aha moment, it was like, oh, okay. So what it's saying is tinder is the thing that you use to start the fire.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the dried up wood. It might be paper. It might be cotton, salt. Yep, it could be amongst a lot of things. Something that's will easily catch fire, right? So if you're strong in whatever it is that you're doing, the strong will be tender, be ready and ripe for the spark, right? And the spark is the work that you put into it. So once you take you being strong and ready to be caught on fire, and then you take the work and the effort that you put into doing it, and that's the spark that's going to catch it and consume it and become both will burn together, and no one shall quench them. So that means once you have the tinder with the spark of work, but you're the tinder and the spark of work, it will be a fire that nobody will be able to put out.
You know, that brings us well into the next section, which is we're going to talk about cultivating persistence and growth, right? And that when you were talking about that verse, I couldn't help but think about Naked and Afraid. You know, that's one of my favorite shows to watch.
It's a good show.
And you know, the thing about the tinder is that the tinder requires work, right? You have to become the person that goes out and finds the tinder. You have to become the person who's knowledgeable enough to know that, hey, I can take this piece of wood, scrape some shavings off of it, put it in a dry area and let it dry out so that I can use it as tinder to start my fire and as I continue to survive whatever the challenges are that I'm facing. But not only that, sparks, right? That's a source of heat, right? But it requires friction.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it doesn't require just a little friction, right? You can spark it the first time and nothing happens. You spark it another time and nothing happens. And you got to keep going and going and going. Spark, 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 spark. And eventually you get a little small amber that then you got to get that amber to build itself up. And then you put it on the wood and you can start a fire.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not, there's so many different lessons to learn from that one verse, because sometimes somebody else has to go and find the timber while you work on the spark.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you got to be sparking it, but you may have to pass it off to someone else to spark it too, because your arms got tired and you had to keep on going. But that's a matter of life or death, right? You either get this fire started or you die. We either be successful at our endeavor or it dies. Yep. You're successful at the business or the business will die. But sometimes you have to be in alignment with someone else who can take over and spark that fire starter with you. And it may take you may be the person who sparks it one time and the fire starts and boom, you got a fire.
But the reason why you were able to hit it a couple of times and spark is because you had good tinder.
Good tinder.
You had tinder that was dried, prepped, and ready.
Yep.
Okay, so it wasn't just having the tinder. Some tinder is going to be better than others. Sometimes it might be, you can use dry leaves, right? But maybe the sawdust could have been better.
Yep.
Right. But it's whatever tinder that you become, because you are the tinder. So how much effort and knowledge and work have you put into learning the thing that you're trying to learning this real estate? How much time have you put in drying it out, soaking it up, eating up all the information that you can, so that way when you put in the work, you get the spark?
That's so true. And Myron talked about in the video, he talked about deepening your craft, over seeking quick success. Sometimes we want to have that quick success. And don't get me wrong, we all do. We all want to have a breakthrough in whatever we're doing, that it just happens so fast that we feel like, that was easy. But sometimes you got to deepen your craft. The person who needs to start the fire, they have to, maybe they've already, the person who's able to strike it one time is because they've already started so many fires that they already know the process, right? They knew that they needed to scrape off enough magnesium onto the tinder to be able to spark that fire. They knew that they knew that the fire starter had magnesium on it that you could scrape off, right? They knew that they had, like Vonnie said, get the dry tinder. They had to get tinder and put it in an area that was dry. Maybe they knew how to use a glass bottle and use the sun to start a fire. But 9 times out of 10, they've practiced that craft and they know how to do it. The difference between them and a person who's an amateur is that they may not have started a fire, without a lighter and with some lighter fluid. Maybe they don't know how to start a fire, and it's going to take you longer. You're going to have to try some different things. You can't just go out there and make a bowstring starter and just start a fire because you've never done it before. You wear your hands out, your hands get calluses, all these different things can happen to you. But the person who's already done it, they know how to do it. Same thing in real estate, right? You comparing yourself to a person who may have a skill that you don't have. And, you may have to deepen your skills. You may have to learn a new skill, learn you may have to get a new tool in your tool belt to be able to become the person that can do the thing that you need to do. And both, in chapter 10 of the book, we talk about the same thing. And I love that the video that Myron made in chapter 10 of Think and Grow Rich in Real Estate, they both stress the value of goal reassessment, right? How to leverage your support system and celebrating small wins. Goal reassessment is, like we talked about, being able to go and say, okay, well, if something wasn't up to the standard that we set for, we went out and we made phone calls and we didn't get a contract on a contract. So now I need to go back and reassess. Was it my calling strategy? Was it the list that I called on? Was it the area that I called in? Was it the time of year that I called? Was it something about my speech that was off? We have to reassess those things, make changes, and then go out and try it again. Myron said something really good. He said that it took him, I think he said like 2 years or a year to get his first sale when he was doing insurance or something. And he said that when he got the first deal, he had done everything that was wrong so that he only had things that would work, right? Sometimes you may have to do that. You may have to do so many things that don't work for you before you find the thing that does work for you. But being able to go through and do all of those things that don't work for you would give you the opportunity of knowing what things do work for you. Otherwise, you're just shooting in the dark.
Yeah.
Leveraging your support system. That's why we talk about making sure that you join in the Facebook group. Make sure that you're liking and following this YouTube channel so that you can get updates when we're putting out new videos. Making sure that you're getting into the comments and asking questions so that you can get questions answered in a timely manner and be able to use that information to get your deals done, right? Being able to go into networking events and forming relationships with the people at those networking events so that you can go to them when you have a challenge. You need to learn how to properly leverage your system, your support system. And if you're a person who feel like you don't have a support system, you got to get over that, right?
You need to create one.
Yep.
The thing is that sometimes our support systems aren't going to just be handed. You have to cultivate them. And so that means by going out to the networking events, going to open houses. If you see somebody's doing an open house and it's an investor,
or even a realtor.
Or a realtor, yeah. And it's the type of house that you're either wanting to learn how to flip or a house that you want to wholesale. It's that type of house. You go out there and the people that you see are the same people that you want to connect with.
Yeah.
Those are the people that you want to network with. If you're the person that says, oh, well, there's no networking events close to me that I can physically go to, guess what? There's always an open house that's not far from you that could be the potential of creating the network environment that you need.
Yeah. We will show up at your open house or you're showing for a property, even if we don't plan on buying it, because we know that other buyers will be there. If it is a property that we know is similar to something that we would potentially get on a contract, we're going to go, because guess what? I'm going to meet 5 to 10 other investors there. I'm going to meet other wholesalers there.
My favorite is I might even show up early at a showing because you said that you had other people that were going to be there before me. So I'm going to show up earlier so that I can have that moment where we cross paths.
Yeah, you're just giving away our secrets now. But that is very true. You tell me 2:30, we're going to get there at 2, because I want to see who coming before me, and then I might linger after 2:30 because I want to see who coming after me. It's not just because I want to size up the competition, which is also, that's part of it. But it really is because I need to grow my network. We have to grow our support system. Somebody might come with a contractor that I don't know, and I need to know that contractor that you got. I need to talk to this other investor to see, where you getting the funding at for this property, because I always need new funding sources, right? So we definitely are always looking for ways to grow our network, whether that be virtually or in person. And then, celebrating small wins. We talked about that again last week. And it's kind of self-explanatory, but it's very important, right? It's important that when you get a property on the contract, celebrate it, be happy about it. You don't have to go out and spend money on it, but be excited about the small wins, so that when the big things happen, you can feel more accomplished. And it's going to serve as a motivator. It's going to serve as that momentum, because it's easy for us to forget all of the small wins that we got. It's easy for us to forget that we made 100 phone calls this week when nothing got on the contract, but you still made 100 phone calls this week. So let's try it. So now that you know that you can do that, celebrate that you did that, and then let's do it again. Maybe you got to call a new list, a different list, but celebrate the small wins. And again, scripture for this area that we're talking about, Philippians chapter 3, verse 13 and 14 says, brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining forward what is ahead, I press on towards the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. That means I don't sit there dwelling on the failures of the past, right? I can acknowledge the failures, I can acknowledge the challenges, I can acknowledge the shortcomings, but I don't dwell on them, and I don't let them become my identity, right? When we talk about being, when Myron talks about being, he's not talking about being the person who dwells on something that happened in the past. We want to be the person who can learn the lesson from something that happened, and even more so, be the person that can learn from other people's mistakes, right? When you come on this channel and we're telling you stories about properties that we didn't get on the contract, or properties that fell through, or even properties that did, and the challenges that we had to face with those, be the person that learns from that lesson so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. But don't be the person who is an Igor. I talked about that. If you watch Winnie the Pooh, Igor is always down and out. Nobody likes the person who say, well, that ain't going to work because it didn't work last time. Okay, well, it didn't work last time because of this. This is what we need to do this time. Let's try this time. That doesn't, just because it didn't work last time, doesn't mean that it can't work this time if you approach it in a improved way, right? We're always looking to upgrade. Imagine if the Wright brothers had quit when the first airplane that they made, the first glider, didn't work. Imagine if Henry Ford had quit when the first car that he built didn't work. Imagine if Elon Musk quit when his spaceship blew up a couple of months ago. But the successful people in the world don't quit because something didn't work for them. They find a new way. They innovate. Pivoting. And we got to learn how to pivot. You're right. Mm-hmm. And that's what we got to learn how to do in life. Yep.
In general. I mean, we could talk about it not only in just real estate or our endeavors, but in life. Sometimes things are going to happen, things are going to come up, and we have to not only know, but be okay with pivoting. And the best thing to do is always know how you would pivot. So the thing is that knowing how you would pivot. So always also thinking about what's the worst case scenario, right? And then already having a plan for if the worst case scenario happens, right? And that's not just in real estate. Like, that's in real estate, that's when you have multiple exit strategies. I'm looking at this property to flip. I'm looking at this property to buy and hold. I'm looking at this property to wholesale. I'm looking at this property to do all these different things with it, right? But if they fall through, how do I pivot it into a different exit strategy where I don't lose the property and I don't come out with no money in pocket? Maybe I'm looking at this property and I say, oh, this would make a great flip, right? And I think it probably will, but maybe it's priced a little bit higher for you, and maybe you couldn't get them to negotiate down. Well, maybe you can go ahead and wholesale it out, and maybe there's somebody who is looking at the project not to just to flip the property, but they're looking at it more as a buy and hold. So for them, they can go up a little bit on the price because they're going to fix the property up good enough to rent it out and then sell it off, or not sell off, but rent it out. So each strategy is going to look at a different price point. Maybe I'm the flipper and I'm saying, okay, I was going to buy and hold it, but I want to be in and out of this property pretty quick. So instead of buying and hold it, I'm going to flip it and then I'm going to sell it so I can get the money out of it pretty quick. So there's always different extra strategies. Maybe you're the wholesaler, but maybe you realize that you can do something instead of, maybe it's priced at a point that you don't need it to be, and maybe you can go ahead and do something creative, some kind of creative deal that'll still make the property work. So there's always should be an exit strategy in the mix for you. If the worst case scenario happens, you already have a solution for the worst case scenario, and that's pivoting.
Yep. And how do you get to that point? But that again brings us perfectly into the next section, which is talking about the transformational power of being persistent, right? And some people may not understand this, but there's something just transformative about being able to persist through a problem, because that's the becoming, right? Once you get past whatever the thing is, then you become that person, right? And you know, some of you guys may not understand this, but you know, I talk about my time in the Marine Corps all the time, right?
Can I give one? I didn't use the Marine Corps, but I'm gonna tell you guys one thing. Kim was so persistent in pursuing me. Okay. I would have never thought we were going to get married in the beginning, because I told him no, or date. I told him no, and he still called me every day. And he still was like, hey, what do you, his line was, what are you having for dinner tonight? It was like every day, like clockwork. Okay. But he was very persistent. And because of his persistence, we're now married today. Okay. So it wasn't just, when I told him, oh, well, good luck with, your search and finding da 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 da, he didn't let that stop him. He didn't let my no even phase him. He kept on going. And I think that's what it is. And it's the everyday.
Yeah.
It's every day you're on it. Every day, even if you get a no, you're still saying like, oh, I heard
my eye on the prize.
I hear your no, but what you having for dinner?
And it's funny because in the act of becoming, guess what we became, and now we're still, every day we're still becoming more. We're still working, we're still learning how to work through challenges. We're still learning how to co-parent. We're still learning how to do so many different things. And it's just it's great, because it is a testament to what it means to really persist. I talked about Vonnie having to go back to work. We had talked about it when when those deals were falling through and we were failing at those deals. We had hit a point where we needed to get a deal closed. We were running through our reserves, and we really needed to get a deal closed, because the income was starting to look shady coming into the house.
But what's funny? It's the second I got the job and got hired on, we had 2 deals go through.
Yeah.
Like literally, I got the job, was about to start the job, and we had 2 deals go through, and I think it was about $14,000 that we had come in out of the 2 deals. I think we were both around $7,000 or something. Mm-hmm. And I still, that wasn't enough to sustain us forever.
Yeah, so you still worked the job.
I still went and did the job.
But again, that's persistence, though, is it not? Like, that was still persistence. It was the ideal of, okay, even though this worked out, we know that we need to do something else to sustain us until we become the people that don't need it. And even now, like, we have goals that we've set now, and it's like, okay, we got to become the people that do the things that we need to do to, like, even with these Zoom calls, we have to become the people that make Zoom calls every week until whenever that changes.
And honestly, we're working on hopefully becoming the people that make more than one Zoom call a week, as far as like for what we're doing right now. And that's soon to come. So as we continue to make, for us, as soon as we continue to make these Zoom calls every single week, we are becoming the people that make the Zoom calls every week. Because right now we are the people that make the Zoom calls every week, right? But at some point we're going to become the people, after making the Zoom calls every week, we can become the people that make 2 Zoom calls a week.
Yeah.
Or 2 videos. Maybe it's not this live version.
Same setup, but something.
So I think, and with that being said, is you have to keep that in mind, that we are always becoming something, right? And 5, 10, 15 years are going to come and go regardless. Tomorrow's, if God willing, tomorrow's coming.
I love that you said that we're always becoming something. Whether you want to or not, you're becoming something. You know, you either becoming a person who figured out how to make it work, or you becoming a person who
gives up,
let it work,
or gives up.
Yep. You
know,
you're either the person who learns how to control their fate, or you're the person who let their fate control them. You know, and how do you learn how to control your fate? I really think it's getting into the Bible and following channels like this, and learning from people, and strengthening your support system, and all of those things that we've covered. That's how you learn how to be the person that controls their fate.
Yep. And right now we've been going over the last few weeks, we've been doing a lot of the mindset, and we haven't been going into as much of the how to's to do this, to then do this, and then this, step by step, because we realize is that no matter how many times I can give you the steps, you can go and search out anybody to give you all the steps, but until you have the mindset to do the steps, you will never do the steps, because you haven't become the person that does the steps. So what we're doing with these Zoom calls right now, with these live streams, is that we're trying to help teach you how to become that person that makes the phone calls, that sends out the marketing, that is doing the follow-up. Because if you aren't becoming that person and you aren't doing the mindset, we had a season where we listened to so much mindset, because we needed the mindset to become the person that does the thing that gets the place. You follow me? Like
we still do.
And
that's the reason why we listen to the Myrons, and you know, the only thing I think that switched in when it comes down to mindset is that we definitely have pivoted to a more biblical based mindset, because we do believe that is the building block of all success in life. But mindset is so important, because without the proper mindset, I can tell you how to do the steps all day, every day, but if you don't have the mindset to persist through it, it won't mean anything.
Nope, I can give you the 5 steps with the dance.
Yeah, TikTok, TikTok dance.
5 steps to real estate. And the reality is no matter how many times that you've heard those 5 steps, and you've heard them done in different ways, you've heard it tweaked this way, tweaked that way, but you still haven't even pulled the triggers, because you haven't yet changed, you haven't yet decided to have the mindset to be the person that you need to be to get the things that you want. I saw this thing on I was looking at one of the videos, and it was talking about the words, and it was talking about it was desire. Having the desire is the want. So the thing that you want is equal to why I bring that up? Hold on, I'm trying to remember the exact, but it pretty much I'm gonna have it for you guys next week, because it was so good. I'm gonna have to find the video I had watched, and maybe I'll redo the video and re-say it. But it was so good. It was talking about having the money that you want is first having the desire. It's the desire that you have to first have, right? But in order to get what you want, is you have to first have that desire.
Was that the Miz video?
It wasn't. No.
He did a video. He talked about that too.
It was actually, they used, and it was so good because they used the Hebrew words, and when you take them and you subtract them, it equals the number of money. It was so good. It was so good. I'm gonna have it.
Miz talked about that in one of his videos. He was talking about prayer, and that you first have to start with a desire. Like God will answer your desire, but if you don't have a desire for anything, you just have making empty prayers, you know, and then it just becomes empty words. But the desire is the building block of the faith, because once you have a desire for something, you can then have faith to go after it, and faith that you will receive it.
Yeah,
you know, and same thing with this. You know, we talking about the transformative power of persistence. Like, once you become the person who can do the thing that you need to do, now you get to become the next chapter. You get to constantly evolve, right? And it's transformative, because once you become a different person, you no longer have the same problems, right? The problems that are so big and so daunting to you right now will be a figment of your imagination. There'll be a story that you get to tell the people who are currently going through it. It becomes your testimony.
Yes, and not only that, it'll be something that you might laugh at later.
Yeah, like, I can't believe that this is the fear that I had.
This was the thing that stopped me all this time from reaching the goal that I wanted. You know what I mean? Like, it was so simple. It was such a simple pivot. It was such a simple change that I made, it seemed so small. Like even for us, like looking back at that one deal with the water feature flowing through from, I think it was the living room.
No, that was the kitchen.
It was the kitchen to the basement from the roof down. And I mean, when I say it was a water
into the basement, like it was into the
it was
there was a hole in the roof,
water flow.
There was a big hole in the roof, and then there was a big hole in the floor of the kitchen where the water had been coming down through both. And that was the reason why they didn't have power, because they couldn't get power on, because they had a big hole or water feature in their in the living in the kitchen.
So so the thing is that
you can't even walk in the kitchen.
No, that's partially why I only went in there a couple of times, and I would spend most of my time outside. We would even talk outside. Outside the fact it was freezing cold inside of the house, and the smell, but
yeah, that's a whole.
We
had to go over that. We had to break that story.
We might have to just have a one-off.
Yeah.
That during the week where we just
talk about some of our horror stories.
Oh my goodness, we have. I mean, they're horror stories, but they're win stories as well.
Now that we can look back on them, they are. Yeah. But that's the transformative power of it, right? Is that now we can look back and say, "Oh man, you remember that one property that gave us these headaches?"
But we learned so much from those headaches that now we look back at those and it's like, nope, all that property gave us was another tool in our belt.
Yes. Yes.
Another access point, another place that I can access from that memory, from that situation. Say, oh well, this is what I had to do last time, so this time I won't go through that because I already know what I need to do. So I already had the. It wasn't a failure. Some of them felt like failures in the moment, but it was just working on me and not for me for the moment. So become the person. Allow yourself to be transformed. Be open to the transformation that will happen in your life as you take hold of the principles.
Yep. And here's another verse for you, right? Romans chapter 5, verse 3 and 4 says, not only so, but we also glory in our suffering. That's just that start right there. We also glory in our suffering because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope.
Ooh.
Right? We can find glory in suffering because we know that our suffering and us being able to go through it means that we were able to persevere. And because we persevered something, we grew in character. We became. And because we became, our hope increased. We knew that if nothing else, I can survive that. If I ever have to go through that problem again, I have hope that I can find the outcome for it because I've already gone through it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we find ourselves facing a challenge and we feel like there's no way I can get through this. But then as soon as you get through it, you realize that, oh, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Because I'll say for us, 2019 was probably one of our hardest years. And I mean, you would never know it from the outside looking in. I mean, even the kids couldn't feel it. Yeah. Even though even when we talk about it to this day, they're really, it was like,
they seem great.
They seem great, but in the midst of all of it, looking back now, you can see how God had his hand on us.
Yes.
And how we never missed a meal.
Yes.
We didn't lose our house. We didn't have no money, but somehow we were, we had some money, but we didn't have much of it. And somehow God was holding us through the whole thing. And so even though we have hard moments and things in our life, as long as we're yielding to God, God will have us. God will protect us. God will make sure that you have a place to lay your head, that you have food to eat. I mean, my biggest thing was like, I cannot move in with my mama. If nothing else. And the thing is, it's like, we didn't, because we got those deals. I went back to working in a field that I really wasn't trying to go back to. And
and so much so that when we did get to a point where you could leave, it was really because you just did not enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like you dreaded waking up to go into that job.
And let me say something on that one. I only work 3 days a week.
That's true.
At the end, it went from full time to part time, and I only worked 3 days a week. And on the 3 days that I did work, I picked the 3 days that I worked, and still was like, nah, I just can't.
Yeah,
I just can't.
You know, and it was such a dual purpose experience because her going back to work was a decision that we made because previously I was working and I had a really good income, and then that I got laid off, got fired, however you want to look at it, and so that pushed us into the real estate investing. And then once we started, you know, after almost a year of trying and not having anything paying out, it was like, oh man, maybe I need to go and get another job. But I was traveling 80% of the year. I was on the road, and I wasn't trying to go back to doing that anymore because I was enjoying being at home. And
we decided that I had, I said, well, I'll go back to work.
Yep, and I'll continue to work on the real estate,
right,
to get us a deal done.
And so that was our agreement.
Yep.
And
in that phase of life, that really gave us a very strong why. We had multiple whys that we were working for. It was the why of getting you out of the job that you didn't want to be working anymore. It was the why of I didn't want to go back to working for somebody else again. It was the why of we really wanted this to work out. Like we really, really felt like real estate was the thing that we were supposed to be doing in that for that time frame, or even now. But you know, we really just felt like that was our building block. That was our foundation. Was the real estate was the foundation to get our family to financial freedom, to get our family to generational wealth. And even now we still feel that way. Like real estate will always be an essential part of our professional professional side of our life.
Yep. I mean, no matter how many things we dabble in outside of real estate is always going to be one of the things that that's a business that we'll always have, no matter what avenue that we decide to take it in, whether it's buying wholes or fixing flips or wholesaling a little bit here and there, or wholesaling a lot. You know, I mean, it just doesn't matter what part, or maybe we move more into loaning our money out to real estate deals instead of being in the mix of it on a day to day. So it will always be something, because no matter what you're doing, real estate is always a good place to be.
Yes.
It's always, people always need a place to live.
Yep.
And property values are typically always going up.
Every city has so many abandoned houses that are falling apart,
and people who need places to live. Yep. There's so many people who are waiting for you to build that house, waiting for you to fix that house, waiting for you to get some land so you can, I don't care if you putting tents on it and renting the tents out.
So they can become, right? Yeah. You're helping someone else become. Someone wants to become a homeowner, and you have to become the person that you're meant to be for them to become the person that they're meant to be. So it is really, we all are dependent upon each other.
Yes.
You know,
so serve.
Yeah. You know, so we come to the part of the video. We want to give you some action items this week. Last week we did not leave you guys with any actionable items. So this week we're going to give you some action items to help you with this ideal of persistence. And this is a tune that we're going to sing a lot this year. We're going to talk about persistence, and we're going to talk about a lot of the other things that we mentioned as it pertains to persistence, because this is going to be the thing that's going to carry us through 2024, right? We're going to persist through 2024 to become the people that we need to be, which means that doing the things that we need to do to have what we are meant to have, right? So number one, we want you to reflect on recent challenges. You know, think about a recent challenge you had, whether that be specifically in your real estate journey, but instead of seeing it as a setback, we want you to ask yourself, what did it teach you? What did you learn from this setback? And how can you use that as a lesson going forward? How can you use this as a checkbox on your list of things to do or not to do going forward to help build your real estate career? So reflect on a recent challenge. And like I said, you know, there's so many verses that kind of talk about this. You know, I gave you the verse from Hebrews, but then also in James chapter 1, verse 2 and 3, James pretty much tells us to see it all as joy. You know, count it all joy. You know, that whatever trials we face, that they are building us up and helping us to produce perseverance, right? Number two, stay consistent and acknowledge the small goals. So continue to persist for, a lot of us, we just, we see that we want to get a deal closed, whether that be a wholesale deal, want to get a flip property done. We see the big picture, but you got to count the small goals, the small wins, right? And that is going to be the one thing that's going to keep you persistent. And understand that not everybody can see the small goals. So you have to be able to identify them for yourself. Your family member that does not do real estate investing may not be able to have the same enthusiasm as you for the small goal and the small wins that you made, because they only see a win as getting the deal done, and you have to be able to see a win as I got a new lender contact, I got a new contractor contact, I got a new realtor contact, I got a new wholesaler contact. Those are small wins and small goals that you have to be able to celebrate. So be able to see that. Start setting some small goals for yourself. Remember, we talked about SMART goals in a previous video. I'm not going to go in depth on that, but if you want to go back and watch that video and learn what it is to set SMART goals and start setting some SMART goals, some smart small goals for yourself that you can start to check off and have them as wins in your as you continue on this journey. And verse for that is going to be Luke 16:10. I'm not going to read the verses on these action items, so I want you to go back and read them for yourself and let me know what you took from them in the comments. Number three, I want you to seek learning opportunities. Commit yourself to seeking out challenges. Don't stray away from the challenges just because they're a challenge. You got to see them as a learning opportunity and seek them. You got to, I always talk about when I want to get back into shape, I have to sign up for a race, right? And the best way for me to get out and start running is to sign up for a race. I have to seek a challenge, I have to seek an opportunity to challenge myself in order for me to better myself. But once I get out and I start doing it, I become a better version of myself. We have to go out and seek opportunities to learn and opportunities to challenge ourselves. Don't always have to be the smartest person in the room. Go and get yourself around people that are gonna help build you up. People who sometimes are gonna make you feel dumb. It's okay for you to feel dumb in a room full of people that you feel are smarter than you, because at some point you won't be the dummy in the room anymore, as long as you continue to go and continue to learn. And Proverbs chapter 1 verse 5 is a good verse for you to go and look at on that. And then the fourth thing that we want you to take as an action item is join real estate communities. That is always going to be on our list of actionable steps for you to do, because the more communities you join, the more you're going to hit these other steps, right?
Make sure you join KV Wealth Builders.
Yep.
Make sure you join our group on Facebook group. Make sure you connect with us on Instagram. Make sure you're putting in your comments and everything, your questions down here on the comments. But definitely join us on Facebook, because that is the best place that you're going to be able to ask your questions. That you're going to be able to connect with other like-minded individuals. Connect with us. Let's have a conversation if you want to talk. We're more than happy to help you out, or you have a question, we're more than happy to make a video that can answer your questions. But not only join several groups so that you can really learn more about the real estate. Learn more about what it is that you're networking is so important. You're not meant to do this alone. You're not meant to do life alone. So why would you think that you're supposed to do real estate alone?
Yep. And the verse and chapter and verse for this one is going to be Hebrews chapter 10 verse 25, right? But like Vonnie said, joining some real estate communities is going to hit the other three things. If you don't have any experiences to learn from, if you don't have any challenges that you've gone through yourself, join a community and learn from someone else's experiences and challenges. If you don't have a support system, join a real estate community where you can get a community. If you don't know how to set goals for yourself, join a community and ask people what goals did they set, what challenges did they face. And it's going to be your number one spot for a learning opportunity. If you need to learn how to do whatever, Join a group of people who can help you learn what it is you need to learn.
Being all by yourself, was that song? All by myself. Yep. That is not.
Nope.
That is not.
It's a sad song.
That's sad.
A sad song. It's not a happy song.
It's a little pathetic.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't have to in this day and age. You don't have to be alone. And if you're singing that tune, let's get you a new tune that's not all by myself.
Yep.
Okay, you're
not all by yourself.
You are not.
You know, and again,
you think you are, but you're only one. You really, if you're an introvert and you're somebody who is just, you know, I'm nervous, I don't know people, I don't really want to go all the way to the networking. Right now, when we moved, it takes us an hour to get to the main event real estate group in Nashville, right? Yeah. It used to take us like, what, 20-30 minutes or something? Yeah. And we still make it there.
Yep.
You know, and there's other local events that are happening.
And there's online events. There's
online
haves and wants that we get on that call.
Yeah.
And again, we don't get on there every single week or every single time that they have it, but we get on there consistent enough
that people know who we are.
Yep. That is another big thing, is that get yourself around people so that they know who you are. You can't be upset that no one wants to look at your deal if nobody knows who you are.
You just popped up. Hold on. You popped up one time at this event, and now you mad that everybody's not circling around you, want to have conversation. It took us like months of going to these events. Yeah. And when we first started, I think we started going there, what was that, 2018?
2018.
And we were going, and we went to every meeting. Like, I mean, it wasn't just our main event. It was meetings that would happen. It was the meetings that happened every week, the deal meetings.
Like Wednesday lunch meetings, and
to the point where we walked in one time and they're like, Vonnie, Ken. And we were like, oh wow, okay, they just stopped the whole lunch meeting to say hey to us, and this is the president of the group.
I mean, and even on that, right? And then you got another 40 people around who, you know, let's say 50% of them didn't know us, but they know us now. You know,
they know us because we didn't have multiple conversations.
Yeah.
With a lot of the people when we walk,
of the organization.
Yeah, when we walk in, we're getting love shown to us. But when we first started, we were, I mean, a lot of people would sit there and might have the misconception that I wasn't welcome when I went. You weren't welcome because nobody knew who you were, and you weren't welcome. You were welcome, but you weren't gravitated to because they didn't know you. They didn't know why you were there. You were a fly on the wall, trying to. I'm just gonna watch and see how everybody is. Right, even and
the fly on the wall gets squatted.
Yep. The fly on the wall, you didn't even notice. Yep. So the whole, you weren't even a fly. You were a gnat on the wall that nobody could even see because you weren't even letting it be known that you were there.
Yep.
And so the thing is that when you're in places, you want to make sure that people know who you are, that you're that you're smiling, that you're being approachable, that you're able, that you're greeting people, you're making eye contact, you're saying, hey, nice to meet you. Hey, I'm Bonnie. It's really nice to meet you, Ken. I mean, I personally I'm a real estate investor who is looking to purchase properties. I'm looking for my next flip. I was looking to connect with wholesalers and other flippers. So if you have a property that you were looking at and you decided that you were going to pass on the deal, shoot it my way. I'm open to look at it. You know what I mean? Like, really get out there and get out of your shell. Even if you feel awkward, guess what? There's like 40 other people that are just as awkward feeling as you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so sometimes I don't always have the right words. Sometimes I feel a little awkward. Sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, well, I don't even know what to say, but I know what I can say. I can just introduce myself and say, hey, this is what I do, and this is what I'm looking for. What is it that you do, and what is it that you're looking for? Yeah. And you just be surprised on how quick that opens up the conversation, and the person that you weren't even sure you were going to have anything in common with, now you realize I have so many things in common, and I'm looking for the similar things that they're looking for because they're a wholesaler.
You may have what they're looking for.
And you might have, yeah, exactly. So the whole point of it is just be open-minded. Go in and be okay with not knowing what you don't know. Be okay with meeting people that you don't know, and being okay with not feeling like that you're the star of the moment because they don't know you yet. Yeah. And there's so many people that come in and out of these organizations that you'll have people who come in and you only see them once a year, and they come in and then they gone, and you don't know who they were, what they're doing, but you have the other person that you've seen every single meeting at multiple different meetings, and now it's like, oh, well, I seen you at the last 5 meetings. Like, maybe they're pretty consistent 3, 4, 5 months in and coming to these meeting and greeting and meeting people that now I want to get to know who they are as well. Yep. And that might be the game changer, is the being in the right place at the right time, the chance and opportunity, and the crossroad where it meets. Yep.
So, you guys,
sorry, I had a lot to say.
No, that was good. That was a lot of good information, because I really do think that networking is like, there's no sense in going to a networking event if you're not willing to network. Like, we're not in high school anymore. We're not in elementary school anymore. You don't go to the school dance and not look to dance. Like, you went to the networking event to network. There's no shame in not knowing the answer. Don't be get that. You got to get all of that past anxiety out of your system. Don't be afraid to not know. Yeah, it was when you were a kid, nobody wants to raise their hand to answer the question that they didn't know. But now you want to be, your goal is to get insight. Your goal is to learn. Your goal is to soak up knowledge. And it's a waste of your time to go to a networking event and leave knowing the same amount of people that you knew when you got there. Yeah. You should leave from a networking event having either met someone new or rekindled re-sparked a flame that you didn't know that you didn't know you lost, or someone that you haven't talked to in a long time. And that should always be the goal. So there's no sense in going anywhere and not having an objective in mind when you go there.
And the positive note is that the one thing that you do know when you go to these networking events, especially the real estate networking events, is that everybody that is in that building is there for real estate.
Yep.
Okay, everybody's looking
for a deal.
Okay, everybody.
We actually, before we wrap it up, so we there's a guy at our event. If he sees this, he'll know who we talk about. But the one thing he always used to say every time we would go, he'd say, "Just looking for a deal." And we used to always be like, "Well, everybody's just looking for a deal." But that was his thing, but it was true. Like, his thing is he made sure that everybody knew that he was doing what?
Yeah,
just looking for a deal.
Yeah,
so when you go in, you're looking for a deal. Everybody should know that you are looking for a deal. You're either looking for a deal, you're looking to make a deal. But you're looking to network, just looking to add to my networking
so we can get a deal.
Yep.
You know, so just always be looking for that deal, that next deal, that current deal. You can talk about your past deals, so that you can talk about how you're trying to make another deal like that deal.
Talk about your past deals. Definitely talk about your past deals. Once you get some deals done, you want people to know about your past deals, because here's the thing. If you sell something to someone in the group and that turns out to be a stellar deal for them, then that's going to make it easier for you to sell your next deal to the next person.
We went to this meetup, and I promise I have no more stories after this.
Oh, you good.
We went to this meetup with actually one of the ladies who we attend church with, and we had done a deal with her, and she's a realtor. So
it was her meetup.
Actually. Yeah, it was her meetup. So we wanted to show support, and we love going to meetups. So we definitely had to show support and go out. And so we show up at her meetup, and we're talking. And guess what? One of the guys, this is our first time going to her meetup. Okay, we didn't know anybody in there. Okay, and we also didn't know that the guy that we sold the property to that we had. We didn't know who he was because we did everything through her. So he shows up. He's like, "Oh, you're the one that sold me the house." And we're like, "Oh, was it this? It was the house on this drive, right?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What?" So now everybody in that meetup knew we had done a deal.
And that it was a good deal.
And it was a good deal.
He verbalized it. It was a great deal.
So now when we went in there, we didn't have to, we no longer had to say what we did and how good we did it. We actually had proof in the room that we sold him a deal and that it was a good deal.
Yeah.
And that he made a good amount of money off of it. We made a good amount of money off of it. He was happy. We were happy to sell it to him.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that, because you just never know who's in the room.
Never know.
And if that didn't make it so much easier to talk to everybody else in that room, people were wanting to talk to us.
Yeah.
So, okay, that was my last.
So look, y'all, if you feel like you gained some knowledge from this video or from any of the videos that we've gone over so far, we definitely want you guys to go and follow us on KV Wealth Builders on all platforms: YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Type it in a search, KV Wealth Builders, all one word, because one, we want you to make sure that you get notified when the Think and Grow Rich in Real Estate book is available. Okay. If you got some information that you thought was good and transformative from these videos, just wait until that book comes out. It's going to blow your mind away, and it's going to help you to skyrocket your career. Okay. Because we're going to be sharing a bunch of information in there, a bunch of action items that are going to really help you to get your mindset together and to get your business together. All right. And then secondly, like I said, I want you to follow, but like these videos. Okay. We need to know that you like these videos too. We need the momentum, and we need the motivation to know that you're actually gaining something from watching these videos.
Engage with us. Make sure you put a comment down. If you love the video, make sure that you comment down.
If you want to hear more about a topic that we covered, write it in the comments so that we can make another video to go more in depth on on that topic.
If you're wanting to have a how-to about whatever topic, let us know. We can definitely either bring a guest on and get some live feed about how they've done their deals in that way. We can let you know how to do the deal in that way. But we are here to help you, to grow you, to partner with you. So if you have a deal and you're looking to partner on it, we can definitely help you partner on it, give you some insight on that. Best way to connect with us is going to be getting onto our Facebook group and connecting with us on there. And we look forward to talking to you. We look forward to helping you.
YouTube is going to be the two best
right
ways.
Here,
so
YouTube.
Definitely dropping a comment in YouTube will definitely get you an answer pretty quick. And share this video with any and everybody that you know that could learn from it. We all know somebody who's struggling in their professional career because they are having a problem with being persistent, and a lack of persistence leads to a lack of consistency, which then leads to a lack of having a good outcome. So we want to definitely make sure that this information is getting in front of the people who need to hear it. So if you know someone who needs this information, definitely share it with them. Just send them the link, so that they can get the information that they need as well. Because we're all about helping each other. The more people that you help, the more that they're going to be able to help you, and vice versa. We want to help you guys because the more of you guys that we can help, the more that we're going to help too. Because we're learning as we're making these videos. We're learning from you guys by helping you go through your problems. We're looking to partner with you guys on deals. We're looking to be the private money source that you're looking for. We're looking to be the source of buyers if you're having a problem with that. We're looking to be your buyers. So we're looking to build a community, a network of people. We want to be that support system. We want to be the foundation of that support system for you. If you don't join any other groups, you don't follow anybody else, at least follow us so that we can build a support system together that can help all of us to obtain the generational wealth that we really, really seek. So with that being said, we're going to close with a prayer, and then we're going to let you guys get back to having a great Saturday. But remember that Saturdays are a prime day to reach out to people because most people are at home. And if you're living in the southeastern portion of the country, we got a lot of rain going on today. So a lot of people are at home for sure. And anybody with roof damage is thinking about how to solve their problem right now, and you may be the solution to that problem. So yeah, we're going to end with a prayer. Father God, we just thank you for bringing us together again on this amazing day, another day that you have made for us that we can rejoice and be glad in, Lord. And we just want to just thank you for continuing to provide us with grace, Lord, and mercy, and just continuing to help us to build ourselves up, Lord. We want to thank you for giving us your amazing word that we can lean on no matter what the situation is and no matter what season of life we're in, Lord, that we can lean on your word, the words that are written in the Holy Bible, Lord, to see us through it. Lord, we just thank you for providing us with the insight, and we pray that for our viewers and for us, Lord, that as we continue to lean on your guidance and your word, that you will continue to open our eyes to the knowledge that has already been made available for us, Lord, and that it may turn into wisdom that we can use to light our step, Lord. For each and every one of our viewers, Lord, that anyone that may be struggling with persistence in their business or in their life, Lord, that these words can serve as a building block or as a patch, Lord, to help to repair whatever wounds they have, Lord, and that they can use them to go forward and do great things, Lord. We believe that you have already appointed us and anointed us for great things in 2024, Lord, and we are here to seek after them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.